Ivory black, ultramarine blue, Prussian blue, quinacridone violet, and that's where we left off, cadmium orange, Indian yellow, cadmium yellow or Hansa yellow light. Either one is okay. Yellow ochre, raw sienna, burnt sienna, and in any solid paint system, you're going to need more white than you are anything else. I have, for the purpose of doing these waves, this is the first pass. I've got a number more passes to make on that. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different mixes to go into those waves. And do you notice that none of them are white? So, what are these 3 colors called that I'm about to put on here? Primaries. Very good. If you wanted to take painting down to its very simplest form, you could probably paint most subjects with just those 3 colors plus white. You could mix a convincing black, you could mix convincing tones in various places, but I want to show you what happens when you get to certain edges of the paint colors. So if we take this blue here and we mix it with that red that I used, which happens to be naphthol red and is only on my canvas for yucks, that is not a very satisfying purple, is it? So instead of looking for like the middle point of each of those colors, I try to look for a cool color and a warm color in each primary. So for red, the warmer of the 2 that I use is actually this cadmium orange tone here. And the cooler color that I use is this quinacridone violet right here. But I use ultramarine blue for the reddish side of it, and I use Prussian blue for the greenish side of it. For the yellows, the coolest one I use would either be cadmium yellow medium or Hansa yellow. And my brush is still dirty, excuse me. I'm still worried I'm going to put this in my coffee cup. So that's on the cool side here. And then on the warm side, I use Indian yellow. Now, if you use a system like this, you have much more latitude about mixing. With this system, 6 colors, we can really hit almost every point on the outside of the color wheel. So the highest chroma colors are the ones that sit on the outside of the color wheel. And that is the largest gamut in color you're going to be able to get out of your paints. You can't take a color that's this bright and somehow make it brighter. If it's a gray tone, it's going to be a gray tone. The good news is with 20th century pigments, which these are either 19th or 20th century pigments, all of them, you can hit most places that you need to in painting. If I wanted a truer orange in here, like to hit this point, I would take the warmer of my 2 yellows here, and that orange, and I'd hit the midpoint on the oranges. And now, if I use quinacridone violet and a little bit of ultramarine in here, I've got to use a lot more ultramarine in there, I have a much more convincing purple, and I'm just going to add a tiny bit of white so you can see it, because those are both pretty translucent colors. Beyond those, I have on my palette 3 so-called earth tones. These are the oldest pigments that we have used in painting all along. burnt sienna, raw sienna, and yellow ochre. Actually, ivory black is another one. Those are all variations of iron oxide. And the reason I use them is they're really cheap. So how do you make gray, guys?
A little bit of olive primaries,
That would work.
or complements.
Compliments is really the answer I'm looking for. Use a little bit more of it. And I have to make that green tone, a little bit more of it, because that's how I have this set up. And this green tone can be on the green side there, to the neutral side there, and then to the red side there. I need a little more green. So one of the things that becomes apparent pretty early on in this process is that no paints are the same strength. And that is true not just for each across from one color to the other, but it's true from manufacturer to manufacturer. Which is why a lot of times if I pick up your paintbrush and I try to help you with something, I'll make a total mash of it because I'm not used to using the brand of paint that you're using and the pigment load is different. But there's so-called high stain colors and low stain colors. And if you're working a high stain color against a low stain color, a lot of times the high stain color will just overwhelm it and you need more of it, of the low stain color. So we can do the same thing across each one of those things. When we get to the middle point, it's going to be low chroma. In field painting, there's two great modulators. The first one is burnt sienna, and that's again with the white in it. And the second one is raw sienna. Now they look pretty similar, but they really act a little differently. When I ask you to underpaint, like here where this had the dark tones, where it was just a picture, I will usually ask you to do that in combination of burnt sienna and ultramarine. It makes almost black. Here it is without the white added to it. And you can push it either on the red side or the blue side. When you mix these two tones, and let's get my brush clean enough that I can actually do it without making a mess. You get two very beautiful neutral tones. They go towards gray. I hit it across every single time here without getting it, because I'm not using a palette knife. That's the burnt sienna and ultramarine. And this is the raw sienna and ultramarine. Now, every rockscape and every beach I've painted in the Northeast has those colors in it. The last question is, what do you do with each object? I showed you before that I have all those different colors for the water, right? Every object that you paint needs at least 3 puddles of paint before you start painting it. You need a shadow color, you need a mid-tone color, and you need a highlight color. And to know which side you go on, because Jennifer was talking about how confusing she found that, you need to know what color the light is. So that varies a lot. There's some rules though. In Maine, in the morning or in the winter, the sun is at an angle and it's pretty seriously angled, so you get a golden light. When the sun is near the horizon, the light is yellow and the shadows are on the blue to purple side. Well, the only time the sun is overhead is in the middle of summer. The light is blue and the shadows are warm. So there's two possibilities at work here. One is that there's some mysterious ability that some people have to perceive colors that other people don't have, which has been posited and I think is total nonsense. The other thing is I'm really used to looking for it, right? So what I would suggest to you is you get, in fact I'll give you one. I want to give you a little sheet of paper with a pinhole in it, and then you look at objects when you're painting them through that pinhole and see whether you think it's warmer or cooler, and just keep practicing it until you have an idea about it.
When I have been painting and I'm studying the same object, I do, as time goes on, I see more colors.
Good.
But like today, it's like, no, it's just kind of...
This is the worst example of lighting for it. I just happen to know that the gray light of an overcast day is cool-ish.
Okay.
It's not as cool as it would be if it was a blue sunny day. I want you to make some paint swatches, and I know it sounds like elementary school to you, and that you'd rather be painting geraniums, but this is other than drawing, this is the next thing that will advance your painting the fastest. So mark off a square on here, and this would be probably a good size square to do it, okay? And then what I want you to do is, on this row, I want you to use black, black, black. On this row, I want you to use, this isn't gonna work, these all start with B. Blue is not, BL is not gonna work either, because blue and black both,
BK.
thank you. That's why we get radiacs in this class, because I'm not one. So black across the top row. Ultramarine blue across the second row. And Prussian blue across the third row.
What do you want with them?
I want you to put, we're going to make a mix. This is the first color. This is the blue side of the color. A heads up, the blue side always stains more than the yellow side does. So use less of the bluer blacks than you will use of the yellows. On the other line, going down,
I'm missing something. Where did the yellows come into this?
I haven't gotten there yet.
Oh,
So,
Soon, very soon. We're going to use yellow ochre. So you see this is a matrix, right? Black, ultramarine, Prussian, yellow ochre. Then we're going to use Indian yellow. Hey, that's better. I'm gonna actually find the only charcoal in America that's actually not functioning. And then you're either cadmium yellow or Hansa yellow, whichever one you're using here. But wait, there's more. After you're done doing that, when you set this thing up and you had these tints that were at the top of your palette, and you guys, you acrylic people will make these tints as you go because they'll get hardened up on you if you don't. I want you to make some modulations of these. So make yourself a square, a nice, that'll be a good size square, it'll at least be, let's see if there's a 9-inch canvas or an 8-inch canvas, it'll be 2 2/3 inches by 2 2/3 inches, right? So make the whole square there, that size. And then I want you to modulate with a few of these things. I want you to modulate that, in other words, mix it with the blue, with this, you make with your ultramarine, the quinacridone violet color, and the yellow ochre color. No, correction, because we're using that in the mix. The raw sienna color.